We're looking at Isaiah 53. We could say one of the glorious chapters of the Old Testament that talks about the suffering, the death, the resurrection, the ascension, the glorification of Jesus Christ. And it talks about the gospel like no other Old Testament chapter. Many people call this as the fifth gospel. But we can actually say this is the first gospel, right? Because it comes before the Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. More than that, I want to call it as a mini New Testament. Can you believe this chapter? The chapter with 15 verses, 12 verses here and 3 verses in the previous chapter. It kind of lays down the entire redemptive history before our eyes. The covenant that God made with Christ in eternity, and how Christ was prepared to come into this world, and his birth, how he was born, and his suffering, his death, his resurrection, his ascension, even the whole New Testament church history. It goes on throughout all church history and talks about the coming of Jesus Christ and how he is going to judge the world and glorification and all eternity what's going to happen. It's amazing. Just 15 verses lays before us the entire sweep of redemptive history. I told you this chapter should have started in 52:13, right? That's where the whole theme starts. The whole theme about this chapter is the revelation of the Jehovah servant. It starts with the grand calling of God, where God calls the entire universe and says, "Behold my servant, behold my servant." This is a glorious news. This is a great good news. Behold my servant. The whole good news that I announce to all universe is through my servant. You give your full attention. Stop thinking about everything else, but focus your mind again on my servant. Fix your mind on him. Why should we look at him? There are 4 reasons Isaiah 52 gives us. 4 marvelous reasons why should we look at this servant. Firstly, the identity of the servant. If you look at Isaiah 52 verse 13, right? It talks about the identity of the servant. Behold my servant. Who is the servant? He is the servant approved by God. He is the servant prepared by God. And how Jesus Christ was prepared from eternity. He was the second person of Trinity. He was equal to God. In all attributes he was equal to God. And this person who was fully God, he took upon himself the nature of man. And he was born in the Virgin's womb, Mary Virgin's womb. And the product, the Holy Spirit came and overshadowed Mary, and the product of that was a being who's fully God, perfectly God, and fully man, without any kind of mixture, without any kind of confusion. Right? There were two distinct beings in one person. That's the person called Christ. Right? That's a wonder of God's wisdom. He was fully God and he was fully man, and he was anointed fully by Holy Spirit without measure, with all attributes to fulfill the great work. And that's the servant that Jehovah is introducing. He's fully God. He as being God, he can ensure that all the claims of God are fulfilled. At the same time, being fully man, all the needs of sinful man are taken care. And he is one mediator between God and man. So